Hey guys, Tyler here, Senior Technical Artist at VNTANA. I hope everyone's having a great day so far. We got some really exciting stuff to go over. We're going to be going over Houdini, Miro, and Unreal, and we're going to tie those all together using VNTANA. All right, let's dive in. So we have an asset here from my personal game project called Quantum Winter Queen's Vector. The idea behind this tool that I'm developing is that we could take input geometry from our level, like we see on the right, or input geometry that we've built in Houdini, and apply it and run it through our rock tool to produce game-ready environmental assets for our game. And so as you can see, we have the input on the right, we have the output on the left. And so a high-level process of what we're doing inside of the rock tool is we're taking our input geometry, we're fracturing it, we're applying physics to it. That's how we're getting the nice crumbly, slopey effect that we're seeing in our rock. And then we're applying some noise to it, and then we are baking down the normals and the ambient occlusion into that mesh, and that's the output that we see. So now that we have that and we're ready to export, we just need to make sure that we have an output node in our geometry group. And so I'm just going to select my output node and make sure that that is the only thing, that's our active node. This is going to be what Houdini exports when we export. So now that we're ready to export, we're going to go to File, Export GLTF. In the file name, this is where we get to define the location and the file name that, we're going to be exporting. So if we click on this icon, we're going to select the drive and the folder that we want to export it as, and we can define our name. And we need to ensure that we type our extension. So we're going to do .glb. This is just going to make sure that we get our textures with our mesh. And so I'm going to click accept. And then it's asking us what we'd like to export. So since we have our output node, we just need to make sure that we select our geometry group, which we did, which is perfect. And now we can click export. And this is going to begin the export process for our GLB. And now that we've exported, we can jump over to VNTANA. So here on VNTANA, we're on the Quantum Winter page, and we can go to add products to add that asset we just exported. So if I go to upload asset, and I select our asset that we just exported from Houdini and click open, it's going to put that into our products, our assets to upload list right here. And then you can see our name, our file name has already been populated. We take the file name of the uploaded asset and populate that. The next, the optimization pipeline that we want to run on, we're going to be doing, for our purpose, we're going to be doing preserve mesh and UVs, since we want to preserve the material blocking that we've applied in our rock tool. Next up, we have custom presets. So this is really cool. Let's say there's an optimization configuration that you like, that you use all the time. You can configure it and then click on this button here, and then you can say, I want a new preset, and you can say, cool new preset, and click save, and now your preset is saved. We've already have a preset selected, so we're going to select it called Quantum Winter. All this is doing is it's just disabling Draco compression. So we'll walk through our optimization settings. Our first flag is geometry optimization. This is the global geometry optimization flag, whether we want to enable it or not. So whether we want to enable it. The next flag is remove obstructed geometry. This just does a check on every polygon face to see if it's visible, if it can be visible from a camera. And if it can, then we leave it. But if it can't, then we delete it. This just helps us achieve the overall polygon limit that you've set in the next variable. So VNTANA's optimizer is very smart, and it has a lot of safeguards to make sure that we preserve your mesh's quality. So if we feel like we can't get to that 75,000 polygon mark, then we will stop. We'll stop as close as we can to it. So let's say, for example, our optimizer doesn't feel like we can achieve 75. It may stop at 77 or 78, depending on the mesh. Now, if you absolutely need to hit your target polygon limit, we can ensure that by enabling forced polygon limit. This just ignores all of the safeguards and checks that we've built into the optimizer and does everything it can to get to that polygon limit, although we may introduce visual errors or artifacts into the asset. Next up is Draco compression. This is just a really nice compression that we can apply to the mesh that drives down the file size. Although if you're going to be deploying this asset in a real-time environment or for virtual try-on, then we want to disable it. Since we're going to be going into Unreal, we have this disabled. Next up is our texture compression. This is the global texture compression setting, whether we want to enable it or not. Next up is our compression level. This is just how aggressive of a compression we want on our textures. We find that a setting of 3 is a very good setting. Next up is maximum resolution. This just goes through our assets textures, and we'll clamp them down to the size selected. So we can go from 4K to 2K to 11K or unbounded, meaning we don't touch it. So 2K is good for most assets, and if you export your assets with texture resolution of 4K, your assets will compress nicely down to 2K. Next up is use KTX compression. This is a texture compression a setting that we can apply to our textures if we see that our textures are loading slowly on mobile devices. Although this is a lossy compression, so we definitely recommend using this sparingly. Next up is bake ambient occlusion. This is a really cool feature that we have on platform that bakes an object level ambient occlusion into our asset, and it just makes it look really nice. Next up is 3D model scaling. This helps us we can change the size of our asset on platform if we needed to adjust some things. So we could select an axis that we'd want to scale to match to, and then we could say we want this asset to be 11 meters tall, and when we click process, it would make sure that that asset gets to that scale. So we're not going to be doing that. And then also we can adjust some pivot points. It can be centered, bottom centered, or none. We don't want to adjust the pivot point, so we'll leave our pivot point alignment set to none. And then I'm just going to come up and click create, and we'll click draft. And now our asset is uploading and processing on platform. And while that's processing, we can jump over to Miro. And so Miro is a really awesome platform to help us organize and get our game content sort of in a good place. And as you can see, we can have all of our mood boards and things like that. But what's really cool is when we can come and embed some of our assets into our board like we see here. So we can get a feel for how our assets are looking and how everything looks and compare, everything looks together and get just a nice sense of how everything is progressing. We could even come and put an asset right next to our mood boards for our environment just to see how our rocks are looking. So if we jump back over to platform, and we take a look at our rock tool that just finished, you can see that it's looking super cool. We have an optimized asset. If we scroll down, you can see that our file size has went from 64 megabytes down to 6.4, and our polygon count went from 787,000 down to 41.7, which is epic. And then you can see all of our texture compression settings down here. Now, in order to put this into Miro, and to use it in Unreal, I need to change the state. So I'm going to make the state live public, and I'm going to confirm. And now I can scroll down, and I'm going to just edit some of the share links. So for Miro, we recommend hide the full screen button, and we recommend hide the AR button. We can click copy share link. We can come over here to Miro, and I can click on the VNTANA button, and I can just paste that share link and click embed 3D. And now you can see we have our rock tool in our Miro board, and we can check it out and look how is this looking in comparison to our mood boards. And yeah, I think that is looking pretty cool. So now we need to get it into Unreal and place it into our world and get our materials onto it. So let's pop over to Unreal. Now we're in our Unreal world, and we're ready to add that awesome new rock that we just optimized. So I'm going to click on the VNTANA plugin. Now, if you don't have the VNTANA plugin installed, we can just come over to the Epic Games Launcher, and we can come over to the Marketplace. And if we search for VNTANA, it's going to be the first thing that pops up. And if we click that, we just want to make sure that you click Install to Engine. Currently, we have versions 5.0 and 5.1 supported. 5.2 is coming very soon. So I already have 5.1 installed, so that's why I can only see 5.0. You would click Install. I'm going to click Cancel since it's already installed, and that will install it to your engine. And then next, to actually use it, we need to go to Edit, Plugins, and then you'll need to search for VNTANA, and then you'll need to enable that, and that'll ask you, and then it'll ask you to restart the editor, and after you restart the editor, you'll see this blue V, and you can click that, and that'll bring you to our VNTANA plugin. You can log in using your platform credentials, or you could log in using your API key. All right, so now that we're logged in, we're going to go down to the Quantum Winner folder. There we go, Quantum Winner. And we're going to find the asset that we just exported, which is our rock demo 01. And I'm going to download the GLB. And after it's downloaded, it's going to ask us to import it, so we're going to click Import. The default settings work perfectly, so I'm going to just click Import. All right, and now that the asset is in, we're just going to go to our tools. We recommend running we have some cleanup tools that we like to run through on our assets that we import, just because the normals can get a bit weird. So we're just going to select our asset. We're going to process the asset, and this will clean up any of the weirdness. Unreal tends to put the normal maps in the wrong texture compression settings, so that's what that is cleaning up. And now that our asset is cleaned up, we can go and apply our materials to it. So Window, Content Browser, and we can go check out our asset, which is right here. And so we're going to go check it out. So we can see we have our asset in Unreal, and it's looking really awesome. We have our ambient occlusion texture applied to it and our normal map textures applied to it. And so now we want to apply our rock material to it. So now that if we go to our textures, you can see that we have our AO and we have our normal map. I'm going to pop up to the main VNTANA folder where I have my main material instance for my rocks, and I'm just going to jump on over into my rock tool textures. I'm going to paste my material instance in here. I'm going to rename it, and now I can double click this guy, and we have and inside of the material we have parameters for our ambient occlusion map, as well as controlling our snow cover. So I'm just going to repopulate with our new maps. And now, so now it looks kind of different, but now we can apply it to our material. So if I double click on our asset, and I'm going to go back to my textures, I'm going to select my material, and I'm going to apply the rock tool to that. So now you can see we have our rock on there with some nice snow applied to it. And so now we can apply this into the world. So I'm going to close out of that. We can come back up to our folder in the content browser, and I can just drag and drop our asset into the world. Now I know there's a scale difference. This is because we had to edit this in Houdini for the physics simulation, but we can then increase that to get the scale right. Now we have, maybe that's a little big. There we go. Now we have our rock tool in level. And because we've applied our textures to it, we can move it into position. And let's say we wanted some more snow to our asset. So we're just going to come over to our rock material, and we are going to then start adjusting our snow power. So I'm going to adjust it to try to get some more snow. Oh, that's looking better. I'm going to tweak it a little bit. All right, looking good. So now we have our asset in engine, and we have snow applied to it, and we're ready to go. So that's been an overview of using Houdini, Miro, and Unreal. I can't wait to see what you guys make. Happy exporting.